Hi, good afternoon. Please confirm my voice is audible or not.
Audible, sir. On screen also visible, right?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in the morning session, we started discussing about how to access data with the help of the Spark. And we discussed about what is RDD, and we discussed about what is the data frame, and we discussed about what is the Spark session, and we discussed about what is the Spark context, and we discussed about transformations, and we discussed about actions, and we did some practicals on RDD. So these are the different topics we covered as part of our morning session. Now we'll discuss few other topics. So before jumping to other topics, first we'll try to understand what all are different Spark components we are having. So just I will show you one diagram. By using single diagram, we can able to understand all the information. Okay, so if you see this diagram, so these are the different components we can able to see on top of our Spark. If you see the first one, so as we discussed earlier, so with the help of the Spark, where we can able to store the data, if you remember, tell me the answer. Spark
HDFS.
Tightly integrated with HDFS or Hadoop. Is it the correct statement or wrong statement? Spark is tightly integrated with HDFS or Hadoop. Is it the correct statement or wrong statement? Yes or no? Try to give the answer. Spark is tightly integrated with Hadoop or HDFS. Is it the correct answer or wrong answer? Say wrong answer. What's the reason? Because with the help of the Spark, you can able to read data from HDFS, or you can able to read data from GCS, Google Cloud Storage, or you can able to read data from S3 bucket, or you can able to read data from ADLS, which is nothing but Azure Data Lake Storage, or if you want, we can able to read data from RDMMF tables. Indirectly, Spark is not tightly integrated with the HDFS. With the help of the Spark, we can able to read data from different types of the sources. At the same time, with the help of the Spark, we can able to write the data also into the different types of the targets. That is the one of the statement we discussed as part of our yesterday session. And one more thing, morning we discussed one more thing. Coming to Spark, in which modes we can able to run the Spark? In which modes we can able to run it in the cluster mode, or we can able to run it on standalone mode. This is the one more point we discussed as part of our morning session. At the same time, Spark framework we can able to build by using the different programming languages. What are those languages?
Python, Java, Scala.
For Python, Java, Scala, or we can able to use the R language. By using any one of these languages, we can able to write the programs on top of your Spark. At the same time, with the help of the Spark, we can able to perform the different kind of operations. Those we can able to call it as Spark core operations, or we can able to perform Spark SQL operations, or we can able to perform Spark machine learning operations, or we can able to perform Spark streaming operations, or we can able to perform Spark graphics analysis. All these are the different kind of operations we can able to perform with the help of the Spark. Yesterday we discussed about the features of the Spark. In that discussion we discussed about with the help of the Spark we can able to write the Spark SQL, or we can able to perform the machine learning, or we can able to perform the streaming, or we can able to perform the graphics analysis. All these operations also we can able to perform with the help of the Spark. Now if you see this diagram, with the single diagram we are explaining all the topics only. But with the help of the Spark, where we can able to store the data in the HDFS or in our local machines, or in the cloud or in the RDMMS, we can able to store the data, or we can able to read the data, or we can able to write the data. At the same time, we can able to perform the cluster management, or we can able to perform the job execution management, that we can able to perform with the help of the YARN or with the help of the Apache measures, which we can able to call it as a cluster mode execution. One more is nothing but Spark scheduler, or we can able to call it as a standalone mode execution. With the help of the Spark, we can able to trigger the cluster mode execution, which we can able to call it as a YARN execution or message execution. One more thing, we can able to call it as a standalone mode execution, or we can able to call it as a Spark scheduler. And within the Spark, you can able to see the Spark core component. Other than Spark core, we can able to see the Spark SQL, mlib is nothing but machine learning libraries, and we can able to see the graphics, and we can able to see the streaming. All these different operations we can able to perform with the help of our Spark libraries. Okay, within the Spark, we are having the predefined libraries. With the help of those libraries, we can able to perform Spark SQL operations, ML operations, graphics operations, and also we can able to perform the streaming operations. At the same time, this entire Spark we can able to build by using the different programming languages like Scala or Java and Python. Indirectly, we can able to say whatever the topics we discussed yesterday and morning session, just I'm giving it in the diagrammatic format. By using this diagram, you can able to understand from where we can able to read the data, from where to where we can able to write the data, and in how many modes we can able to perform the execution, what all of the different libraries are available on top of the Spark, and what programming languages we can able to use for the purpose of doing our Spark programming. All this kind of information we can able to understand by using single diagram. Indirectly, whatever the topics we discussed for 30 to 40 minutes, and all that information we can able to understand by using this diagram within 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, now in the same way, as we discussed morning, what is data frame?
Data frame is a collection of column and
We can able to say it's a distributed collection of data structures which will represent in which format? Rows
Tabular.
and columns format, or we can able to call it as a tabular format. Coming to RDDs is a kind of a resilient distributed data set, but coming to data frame, we can able to say it's a kind of a distributed collection data structures which we are going to represent in the form of the rows and columns. Okay, one more thing, whenever we are going to create the data frame, which object we need to use? We need to use Spark session, or we need to use the Spark contest?
Spark session.
We need to use Spark session. When we are going to deal with the RDD, in that point of situation, we need to use the Spark contest. First, we need to create the Spark session. Within the Spark session, we need to use the Spark contest. On top of the Spark contest, we can able to use the parallelize method, or we can able to use the text file method to create the RDDs. But if you want to create the data frame, what we can do here, simply we are going to use the object called as nothing but Spark session object. With the help of the Spark session object, we can able to create the data frames. Okay, now one more thing we need to understand here. On top of data frame, we can able to perform read operations, or we can able to perform write operations. So whenever you want to create the data frame, we need to perform the read operation. After performing the read operations, by depending on our requirement, we can able to apply different kind of transformations. After applying all the transformations, if you want, what we can do here, we can able to perform the write operations also. But if you want to perform the read operation, or if you want to perform the write operation, all these operations we can able to perform with the single line of the code. What we can do here, we can able to perform all these operations with the help of single line of the code. By using single line of the code, you can able to read the data from the files. With a single line of the code, we can able to write the data into our required path and in the required format by depending on our convenience. But if you want to write the single line of the code, we need to understand this. Just I will show you quickly. So please remember this formula only. This is the formula, or this is the way we are going to perform the read operation, or we are going to perform the write operation. Whatever the number of times we are going to read the data, or whatever the format of data which you are going to read, either CSV or JSON or Parquet or ORC or Avro, whatever the format of data you want to read, this is the way we have to write the code. Just we have to give it as spark.read.format. Within the format, we have to specify what type of format of data you want to read. After that, here we have to specify the options. Within the options, for example, if it is a CSV file, and in the CSV file, you want to ignore the header, then we have to give it as a header is equal to true. And you want to infer the schema automatically, then we have to give it as a infer schema is equal to true, which is nothing but on top of data frame, it is going to represent the data in the rows and columns format. Whenever we are going to specify the columns, we need to provide the column name, we need to provide the data type and every information. Now, for example, while reading the data from the CSV file, you want to populate the schema automatically. Whenever you want to populate the schema automatically, then we have to give it as a infer schema is equal to true. And from the CSV file, you want to ignore the header record, which is nothing but in the header we are having the columns information. You want to ignore the header record. In that situation, we have to give it as a header is equal to true. But where we have to provide all this kind of information, we need to provide all this information with the help of the options only. So here we are giving the options. Within the options, we have to specify all this kind of information. For example, in the CSV file, you are having the pipe symbol as a delimiter. Then we have to specify delimiter is equal to pipe. So this is the way, whatever the options you want to specify, all these kind of options we are going to specify in the keyword called as a options keyword. With the help of the options, we can able to define all the required parameters by depending on our requirement. At the same time, whatever the load we are having, with the help of this load, we are going to provide path of the file. So whenever you are going to read the data, compulsory we need to provide the path of the file. Now where we are going to provide the path, we are providing it in the load. So with the help of the load, we are going to provide the path. Indirectly, whenever you want to read the data from any format of the files, we have to give it as a spark.read.format.options.load. That is the line of the code we have to write. With that, we can able to perform the read operation. In the same way, if you want to perform the write operations, we have to give it as your data frame dot write dot format dot options dot save. Again here, as part of the save, we need to specify in which path you want to write the data. As part of read, where we are giving the path, in the load we are giving the path. As part of write, we are given the path on top of your save. In the save keyword, we have to specify the path. With that, it is going to perform the write operation. Like that, by using the file, you can able to perform the read operation. With the help of the data frame, you can able to perform the write operation. But whenever you want to perform the read or write operation, it's a kind of a single line of the code. With the single line of the code, you can able to perform read operations, or we can able to perform the write operations. We'll see it in practically. You can able to get the clear picture. Just observe.
So in read, header and infra schema both are same.
No, both are different. Just have to show you. Okay, if you see here, by using this program or by using this example or by using this script only, we are trying to understand how we can able to perform the data read operations. With that, how we can able to create the data frame. As I told you morning, whenever you want to create the data frame, or if you want to create the RDD, first we need to import the Spark session. If you observe, this is the line of the code we discussed already in the morning session. After that, we are going to create the Spark object, or we can able to call it as a Spark session object. Now here I'm giving data frame examples. Now here, as part of creation of the Spark session, we have to give it as a Spark session dot builder dot master. What is the purpose of master? Here we are going to specify you want to run it in the cluster mode or you want to run it in the local mode. After that, we are going to provide the application name. Then we are going to give it as a get or create. With that, it will create the session if it is not available. If session is available, automatically we can able to call the Spark session. With that, we are going to create the Spark session object. After that, I am creating a data frame. If you observe here, I am giving the data frame name is nothing but customer underscore elbow. This is my data frame name. After that, we are giving directly spark dot read dot format dot options dot load. Whatever the info I showed you in the previous picture, same way we are giving the one line of the code, spark dot read dot format dot options dot load. This is the way simply we need to provide the single line of the code to read the data from this file. In my system, I am having the file called as a customer underscore elbow dot CSV file. From this file, I want to read the data. Just we'll see that file. Okay, now this is the file I want to read. Now if you observe here on top of this file only, in the first line what we are having, this line we can able to call it as a header line. In the header line what we are having, we are having the column names. Now you tell me, as part of loading the data, you want to load the actual data into your table, or you want to load the column names also? We are given the column names as part of your metadata, but in that table, what we need to load? We need to load data for only the actual data. For that reason, as part of options, we are giving it as a header is equal to true. What is the meaning of true here? In this file, we are having the header, that a header is containing the column names. I want to ignore these column names as part of doing my read operation. That's the reason, as part of reading the data on top of this file, what it will do here, it will ignore the header, it will read the remaining values on top of your data frame. After that, we are given the one more statement called as a infer schema is equal to true. Any guesses what is the meaning of infer schema? In the name only you can able to find out the answer. What is the meaning of infer schema?
Schema.
Infer schema is nothing but whatever the file we are having here, by using this file, it need to create the schema automatically. We are not given the column name, we are not given the data type, we are not given the nullable values, we are not giving any information. Your Spark session automatically can able to understand schema of your file. But when it can able to understand the schema of the file automatically, once we are going to give it as a infer schema is equal to true, then only it can able to understand the schema. With that, it can able to create the data frame with the required column names and with the required data types. And indirectly, as part of this example, I am not giving any kind of schema. Without giving the schema, by reading the data from the file, it can able to populate the schema automatically on top of your data frame. What is the meaning of schema? Might be some people can able to get the question. What is the meaning of schema here?
Structure of the table.
Schema is nothing but we can able to call it as a structure, which is nothing but your column names and data types and nullability. All this information either we have to define manually, otherwise if you want to populate this information automatically, then we are given the option called as a infer schema is equal to true. Now in my file, I am having the comma as a delimiter. That's the reason we are giving it as a delimiter is equal to comma. So like that, we can able to provide all the required information by using the keyword called as a options. After that, we are given the load. In the load, what I'm giving here, I'm giving the path of my file, from which file you want to read the data. That is the path we are providing here. After that, just what I will do here is, we'll print the schema also. So what I'm trying to do here is, whenever you are going to create the data frame, if you want to see the data on top of the data frame, we can able to give it as a show. But if you want to see the structure of the data frame, then simply we can able to give it as a print schema. With the help of the print schema, you can able to see structure of your data frame. What is the meaning of structure? It will display column names and data type, all this information. Again, I'm repeating, here we are not defining the structure. We are given the infer schema is equal to true. With that, what will happen? It can able to populate the structure automatically. But if you want to see the structure, we need to use the method called as a print schema. With the help of this, you can able to populate the structure in the output screen. At the same time, if you want to see the data from your data frame, then we have to give it as a customer underscore elbow dot show. With the help of this, we can able to display the data of your data frame. This is the way simply we can able to write the code to read the data from the CSV file. Now, for example, if you are having the JSON file, then what we can do? You are having the JSON file, you want to read the data from the JSON file, then what we can do? Within the format, just to remove the CSV, give it as a JSON. And here also we have to give the JSON file. With that, it can able to read the data from the JSON file only. In the same way, if you want to read the data from the Parquet, what we can do here in the format, we have to give it as a Parquet. If you want to read data from Yabro, we have to give it as a format as a Yabro. Like that, by depending on our requirement, from whatever the file you want to read the data, you have to specify the format. With that, we can able to perform the read operation. Now, with the help of the read operation, what we are doing, what we are creating? We are creating customer underscore LO. Now you try to give the answer. This customer underscore LO is a data frame or it is a kind of a RDD?
It's a data frame.
It's a data frame. If you want to understand that information, just to keep your mouse on this one. If you see here, below you can able to see customer underscore LO is a data frame. And for this data frame, we are giving it as a equal to spark.read.format. Indirectly, we are creating a data frame called as nothing but customer underscore LO. But for example, without putting the mouse here, I want to understand whether this is a data frame or not. How we can able to understand that? Without keeping the mouse here, I want to understand whether this is the data frame or not. How we can able to understand? If you see this example, as part of creation of this variable, we are using the only Spark session and we are using the Spark contest.
Spark session.
We are using only Spark session as we discussed morning only. Whenever we are going to use the Spark contest, that variable we can able to call it as nothing but RDD. But if you are using the only Spark session, that variable we can able to call it as nothing but our data frame. This is the way you can able to understand whether you are creating a data frame or you are creating the RDD. Now in this example, I am creating the data frame. After that, we are giving the structure of the data frame in the output screen. After that, we are displaying the data to your output. To see the structure, we have to give it as a print schema. And if you want to see the data, we have to give it as a show command. By using this, we can able to populate the structure and also we can able to see the data. Just will run this.
If it is a
Sir,
fixed width file, how can we read that?
Yeah, if it is a fixed width file, then we have to define the schema manually.
How can
See
we
what I'm
manage?
telling? We have the two things. One is nothing but we can able to define the schema automatically. Second one is nothing but we have to define the schema manually by depending on the requirement. So one is here, whatever the option I'm showing you, this is nothing but we can able to call it as nothing but it's a kind of a dynamic schema, which is nothing but if you are given the infer schema is equal to true from the file, whatever the schema we are having, with that it can able to populate the schema. For example, if you want to define the schema manually, either it's a fixed width file or you want to give the column name or you want to give the data type. In the situation here, we are going to use the one of the data type called as nothing but struct data type only. With the help of the struct data type, we can able to define the schema manually. That is the one more example we are having here. I will show you that. Once we can able to complete this example, I will show you the example how we can able to define the custom schema by depending on the requirement. Is it fine? Just wait for 5 minutes only. After 5 minutes, I will show you how we can able to define the schema manually by depending on our requirement. Okay. If you see here first we given the print schema. Once we given the print schema, as I told you what's happening here, on top of this file, it is creating the structure automatically. It is taking all the column names. At the same time, it is taking the data type as a integer, string, integer. Are we defining any of these values here? We are not defining anything. If you are given the infer schema is equal to true, automatically it can able to take the data types for your each and every column. How it is taking? It is going to analyze the data on top of your file. If you see the customer ID, we are having all integer values. With that, it is taken the schema as a integer. Coming to customer name, we are having all values as a string. It is going to analyze your data. With that, it will take the schema like this only. After that, whenever we are giving the show command, here you can able to get the output like this. Now you tell me how we are seeing the data. Is a kind of a tabular format or is a kind of a list format? Morning, if you remember, when we given the RDD, it is displaying all the data in the list format. But whenever we are given the data frame, what's happening here? It is displaying all the data in the tabular format. That is the definition we given. In the data frame, you can able to see the data in the form of the rows and columns. So with the help of this code, you can able to see how it is populating the data on top of your output screen. And this is the example for how to read the data from the CSV file by given the infer schema is equal to true. Now, in the same way, just we'll try to understand how to read data from JSON file. If you observe here, we are not doing any new operation. The same thing we are giving here. I'm giving spark dot read dot format. Here format we are giving it as a JSON. After that, just we are giving it as a dot load because it's a kind of a normal JSON file. For that reason, we are not using the options only. But whenever we are going to deal with the multi-line JSON, in that situation, we can able to apply the option also. But coming to here in this example, whatever the JSON file I'm having is a kind of a normal JSON file. Whenever you are going to deal with the normal JSON file, then no need to provide any options information. That's the reason directly we are giving it as a dot format. In the format, we are giving it as a JSON. After that, we are giving the dot load. Within the load, we need to specify the JSON file path. Here we are giving the JSON file path. After that, just click on run button. Same way you can able to read data from the Parquet file, or same way you can able to read data from the ORC file also by depending on our requirement. Here just I'm giving the examples for our CSV file and I'm giving the example for the JSON file. In the same way, if you want, what we can do here, you can able to read data from Parquet file or you can able to read data from the ORC file by depending on our requirements. Here also, if you want to display the data, just we are giving it as a dot show. With the help of the show command, we can able to display the data on top of your output.
So in this where we are using the Spark session,
Here this one Spark. What is the Spark?
or
here?
no need to.
See Spark. With the
Okay,
help
we
of the
already
Spark session,
defined.
I am creating the variable called as a Spark variable. This is the common line you can able to see in each and every Pyspark program. And morning we discussed about one script. In the script also we are having the same line, and coming to this script also we are going to maintain the same line. With the help of this time, what I'm doing here, I'm creating the Spark session object. After creation of the Spark session object, I am giving it as a Spark dot read. Indirectly, what is the meaning of Spark? This is nothing but your Spark session. With the help of the Spark session, we are performing the read operation on top of your JSON file. With that, we are creating the data frame called as nothing but customer underscore elbow data frame. Once we are going to give the show command, whatever the data we are having in the JSON file, that data you can able to see it in the tabular format. Just I will show you the data in the JSON file. So see here, this is the data we are having in the JSON file, and we are reading the data from this JSON file. With that, we are creating a data frame. With that, by giving the show command, you can able to display all the data in the tabular format. This is the way simply we can able to perform the read operations with the help of the Spark. Again, I'm repeating. So far, whatever we discussed in these examples, we are populating the schema automatically by using the file. It is going to read the data in the file. With that, it is going to populate the schema automatically by depending on our requirement. Now, sometimes what will happen in the real time? You need to define the schema manually by depending on our requirement. Whenever you want to define the schema manually, in the situation, we are going to use one data type called as nothing but struct data type only. With the help of the struct data type, we can able to define the schema manually by depending on our requirement. Now, just I will show you one example for that. See this. So first try to understand theoretical concept here. So if you observe, I am saying that struct type and struct field, by using these classes, what we can do here, you can able to define the schema programmatically by depending on our requirement. In the previous example, we given the header is equal to true and infer schema we given infer schema is equal to true. Whenever we are given the infer schema is equal to true, what's happening here? It is reading the structure automatically on top of your file. But here my requirement is I want to define the structure manually. Whenever you want to define the structure manually, in the situation, we can able to use the concept called as nothing but struct type and struct field. With the help of this, we can able to define the structure manually. If you see here, as part of this example, I am giving the schema like this. Whenever you are going to give the schema, we are going to apply the struct type. Here we are giving the add keyword. With the help of the add keyword, you can able to define all the column names. I am giving the customer ID 1, data type is integer type. Then we are giving that true. Any guesses what is the meaning of true? Any guesses what is the meaning of true here? If you are given the true, it is going to allow the null values only. If you want to allow the null values on top of this column, we can able to give it as a true. If you don't want to allow the null values, then we can able to give it as a false. In the same way, for customer name, I given the string type. For city, we given the string type. After that, given the grade, we are given the integer type. After that, we are given the salesman underscore ID. For that, we are given the integer type. Like that, just we can able to define the schema. If you are having the 100 columns or if you are having the 200 columns also, just we can able to define the schema like this. This is one approach only. Other than this, what we can do here is, for example, when you are going to deal with the so many number of the columns, in the situation, we can able to create whole schema in JSON file. That JSON file, we can give it as input in our program. Indirectly, you are going to maintain the complete structure in the JSON file. It's not a data. We are maintaining the structure in the JSON file. With the help of that JSON file also, we can able to create the schema automatically. But in this example, instead of giving the JSON file, I am creating the column names manually. For each and every column, here I am giving it as a column name, data type, nullable value. Second column, data type, nullable value. So like that, we are giving all the information by using the struct type. With the help of the struct type, you can able to define the schema manually by depending on our requirement. Now here we are defining all this schema by using the variable called as a schema variable. If you see here, what type of it is? This schema is nothing but we can able to call it as a struct type only. This is the one of the type or one of the class we are having in the Pyspark. With the help of this, we can able to define the schema. Now, once we are going to define the schema manually, now what is my requirement? I want to read the data from the file. If you want to read the data from the file, again, if you observe, I am giving the same information. Custom spark dot read dot format of CSV. After that, I'm giving header is equal to true. Now, earlier what we did in the options, we are giving infer schema is equal to true, which is nothing but it is reading the schema automatically from your CSV file. But in this example, what I want to do? I want to give the schema manually. For that reason, here we are going to use the method called as a schema method. For this method, what is the value we are passing? Whatever the struct type you created, that is the value we are passing here. Now with this, what will happen? It will take the schema like this. With the help of this schema, it is going to create the schema on top of your data frame. Just I will do one thing. Here I will give it as customer elbow with schema dot and giving print schema. Sorry. Now with the help of the print schema, what we can do here, we can able to see the structure of your data frame. Here I am giving the structure manually. I want to see the structure, whatever I given, whether it is taking the same structure or not. I want to see that information. If you see here, actually within the file, in the first column, what's the name we are having? Customer underscore ID column. But if you see what is the name I'm giving, I'm giving the name as a customer underscore ID 1 and I'm giving the different name compared to my file name. We'll try to see whether it is taking this schema or it is taking the schema from your file. If you are given the infer schema is equal to true, it is taken the column names from your file header. But here we are creating the schema manually with the help of the struct type. After that, we are giving spark dot read dot format dot options. Here we are given the schema method. With the help of the schema method, I am trying to call the schema manually. With that, we'll try to see this information.
But in fixed width files, we need to mention the field lengths also, right? So then how can
for
we?
that we have to follow some different approach only. So coming to here, I'm showing it as it's a normal file. It's a kind of a delimited file. For the delimited file, this is the way we can able to provide the custom schema. In the same way, for fixed width file also, we can able to specify the schema by using the struct type. But as part of given the struct type, there we have to specify our starting length and we need to specify the ending length. What is the meaning of fixed width here? For each and every field, we have to specify starting length and we need to specify the ending length. That information also we need to provide as part of our struct struct type. Currently, at present, I don't have any example for the fixed width, but coming to fixed width specifically, we have to define the schema manually. If you want to define the schema manually, we can able to go for the struct type, but other than column name and data type and nullability, you have to specify the starting position value and we need to specify the ending position value. With the help of that, we can able to define the fixed width schema also on top of your Spark data frame.
Okay. In this
Basically-
dot add method only, we need to mention that
Yeah, we
starting.
can able to
and-
specify that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we need to do some minor changes and not exactly same. We have to do some kind of minor changes. With that, we can able to specify the fixed width schema also as part of creation of your data frame.
So can I define the schema using JSON file?
Yeah, we can define the schema by using JSON file also. In the JSON file, you
Same
can able
as
to in the JSON file, you can able to define the entire structure, and you need to read the data from the JSON file. By reading the data from the JSON file, you can able to create it as a struct type. With that also, you can able to create the schema by depending on our requirement. I already told you, right, 5 minutes back. Either you can able to create the schema like this. But when it is useful, if you are having the 5 columns or 10 columns, then we can able to define the schema like this. But when you are going to deal with the hundreds of the column or 200 of the columns only, in that situation, you can able to define complete schema in the JSON file. After that, you can able to read the data from the JSON file. With that, you can able to create the struct type. On top of that, you can able to create the data frame by using the schema which is present in the JSON file. Okay, but in this example,
Okay.
I am showing you, I'm giving the example for only few columns and for our easy understanding, I taken the only 5 to 6 columns. With that, we can able to create the struct type. On top of the struct type, we are going to define the schema by depending on our requirement. With that, you can able to create the data frames by giving the manual schema. Previous example, by giving the infer schema is equal to true, we are creating the schema automatically by reading the data from the file. But whenever you want to deal with the schema manually, in the situation, we can able to use the struct type. With the help of the struct type, either you can able to deal with the delimited files or you can able to deal with the fixed width files. Otherwise, if you want, we can able to define the schema in the JSON file. With the help of the JSON file also, you can able to define the schema manually. All these different operations we can able to perform whenever you want to define the schema manually by depending on our requirements. Okay, now if you observe here in the previous example or in this example, so far what we are doing, just we are performing the reading operation on top of your data frames only. We are reading the data from the file. With that, just we are creating the data frame. But are we going to perform only this activity by using the Spark? Are we going to perform only read activities? Obviously no, right? If you remember yesterday we discussed what is the purpose of the Spark mainly. Spark we are using for the purpose of doing our data processing operations. Whenever you want to perform the data processing operations, we are having the MR or we are having the Spark. Main intention of the Spark is nothing but we are going to perform the data processing operation. But so far we discussed about what is RDD and we discussed about what is data frame and we discussed about on top of data frame how we can able to perform the read operation. Now after reading the data on top of this data, what we need to do here? We need to perform the data processing operations. Now you tell me, whenever you want to perform data processing operations in the real time, first what we need to understand? First what we need to understand? If you want to perform data processing operations, first we need to understand requirements. Without knowing the requirements, you cannot able to perform any kind of data processing operations only. Based on the requirements, you want to understand whether you want to perform the filter operations or you need to perform the join operations or you need to perform the union operations. These kind of things we need to understand by understanding the requirements. Once you can able to understand the requirement, with that you can able to understand what kind of data processing operations we can able to perform. And if you want to perform those data processing operations, here we are going to use the Spark. Now within the Spark, what we can do here is we can able to use Spark SQL. Otherwise, we can able to use Spark DSL. So within the Spark, we can able to use the two different options only. One, we can able to use the Spark SQL. If you are going to use the Spark SQL, here simply we need to write the queries. First step, we need to create the data frame. On top of, just I will give the steps here first. We need to create data frame. On top of data frame, just we need to create a kind of a temp view. On top of this, just we need to write the queries. Okay, if we are having knowledge on writing the queries only, with the help of those queries, simply we can able to perform our data processing operation. But to perform the data processing operation, here what we need to do, if you want to write the queries, we can able to go for Spark SQL. Otherwise, instead of using the SQL queries, we can able to go for one more approach, which is nothing but we can able to call it as a Spark DSL. Here DSL is nothing but domain specific language. So coming to Spark side, they given the one kind of language. That language only we can able to call it as a domain specific language. And as part of this domain specific language, Spark given some transformations, or we can able to call it as a APIs. And Spark given some transformations, or Spark given some kind of APIs. By using that also you can able to perform the data processing operation. Simple, whenever you want to perform data processing operations with the help of the Spark, either we can able to use the Spark SQL, or we can able to use the Spark DSL. Spark SQL is nothing but, first we need to create the data frame. On top of data frame, we need to create a kind of a view. On top of the view, we can able to write our required queries by depending on our requirement. Otherwise, we can able to use the Spark DSL. As part of the Spark DSL, first we need to create data frame. On top of data frame, just we need to apply the Spark transformations, or we need to apply the Spark APIs. And with that, we can able to perform the data processing operations on top of your data frames. Okay, just we'll see one example how we can able to perform the data processing operations with the help of the Spark DSL. We'll see one example for data processing operations by using Spark DSL. First, we'll try to understand Spark DSL. Once you understand the Spark DSL, then I will show you how we can able to perform the Spark SQL operations also. With that, you can able to get knowledge on both DSL. At the same time, you can able to get knowledge on the SQL side also. Just observe here only. Actually, here also, just if you see the first line, we are importing Pyspark.sql. After that, we are importing the Spark session. Just 1 second. Okay. If you see here we are using the struct type. In the previous example, we are using the integer type and we are using the string type only. But if you want to use all this kind of information, first we need to perform the import operation. If you observe, we imported struct type and we imported string type. We imported integer type. Now, for example, if I am not going to perform this operation, just observe, I'm giving the comment. What's happening? Now you can able to see all the errors like this. Indirectly, if you want to use the struct data type, or if you want to use the integer type, or if you want to use the string type, here we need to perform the import operation. Without doing the import operation, what will happen here? It is going to give the errors like this. And for that reason, here I did the kind of import operation. But do we need to remember this? It's no need to remember, but at least try to understand for the purpose of creating the schema automatically. Sorry, for the purpose of creation of the schema manually, we need to import some variables, or we can able to call, we need to import some methods. And as part of this example, we are importing struct type, we are importing string type, and we are importing the integer type, because all these are required as part of writing our code. In the same way, if you see this new example, in this example, we are going to perform the different transformations by depending on the requirement. As part of this example, I am using the when, I am using the literal, I am using the call. For that reason, I imported all these in the first line of the code. Now what I will do here is, when we are going to perform that operation by using the when or literal or call, I will explain what is the purpose of all these things. And for now, forget about this line. When we are going to discuss about the when, I will explain what is the purpose of the when, what is the purpose of literal, and what is the purpose of the call. But try to focus whatever the first line we are having. Are we discussing any new thing here? You want to import the Spark session. For that reason, just we are giving the import Spark session. After that, we need to create the Spark session object. If you want to create the Spark session object, we have to give it as a Spark session dot builder dot master dot app name. Here I'm giving the name is, for example, data frame transformations. with DS. This is the name I'm giving here. After that, we are giving the getter create. With the help of the getter create, it will create the session, or it can able to get the session if it is already available. After that, if you observe here, I am trying to read the data from the customer underscore LO only. So just I'm printing a statement. By using this print statement, I can able to understand what operation I'm doing. I am reading the data from customer underscore LO file. For the purpose of reading, what we can do here, what we discussed, if you observe, we need to give it as a spark dot read dot format dot options dot load. But if you observe what I'm giving here, am I giving all those things? I'm giving only spark dot read. I'm not giving the format. I am not giving the options. I'm not giving the load only. Then how it is going to work? Very simple. This is the one more way to read the data from the CSV file. Just I'm trying to explain multiple ways how to read the data from the different types of the files only. In the previous example we discussed about, we have to keep it as a spark dot read dot format dot option dot load. That is the one way of reading the data from the file. And this is the one more way. Directly we can able to give it as a CSV method. Here we are given the path, we are given the header information, we are given the infer schema. But you try to give the answer. Is there any difference between this approach and previous approach? Just for your convenience, what I will do here is, I will copy these lines here. Now just observe these two lines and try to give the answer. Is there any difference? We are given spark dot read dot. Here instead of given the format of CSV, directly we are given the CSV method. After that, instead of given the load method to give the path, we are given the path directly. Instead of given the options, we are giving it as a header equal to true, and we are given the infer schema is equal to true. If you want, we can able to give it as a delimiter is equal to comma also here. Indirectly, what I'm doing, instead of writing a big line, just I'm making it as a simpler line only. In the Spark, we are having this kind of feature. For that reason, by using that feature, instead of writing the two lines of the code, in the single line, I'm writing the code. Either you can able to follow this approach, or we can able to follow this approach also. But already we discussed about this approach in the previous example. That's the reason, instead of using that approach, here I am trying to use the other approach only. By using this approach also, you can able to read the data from CSV file or Parquet file or ORC file or JSON file by depending on our requirement. Any confusion on top of this statement, please ask me here. Don't ask me the question, sir. Earlier you mentioned that we have to give it as a spark dot read dot format dot option, but here why we are not giving? I am only telling that this is the one more way we can able to read the data from the file. In the previous example, we already covered one of the approach. In this example, just I'm trying to show you how we can able to read the data in the other approach only. For the reason, directly we are given the CSV. Within that, we are given the path, we are given the header, we are given the infer schema. This is the way also we can able to read the data on top of your files. Any question here? Please ask me.
This is not DSL, sir.
This is not, this is just a read statement. It's not a
This is another approach of
this is the other
read
approach to read the data from the CSV file to create the data frame. Still, we are discussing about the read only. We have to come to the transformations. Okay, now tell me, if I'm going to run this line, it will take the schema automatically, or here we need to provide the schema. In this line of the code, we need to provide the schema manually, or it will take the schema automatically. It will take the schema automatically, because here we are giving it as the infer schema is equal to true. Might be some people can able to ask the question, sir, how I can able to remember all these things? No other option, you have to remember. Otherwise, if you are going to work in real time, definitely you are going to perform the Google operation. With the help of the Google, you can able to get all these lines of the code only. But as part of interviews, at least we should be in the position to give the answer. With the help of the spark.read, we can able to perform the read operation. With the help of the spark.write, we can able to perform the write operation. At least we need to provide the answers in the interviews, right? For that reason, you have to remember all these kind of keywords and all these kind of different options. Okay. Now, if you observe in the first line, we are reading the data from the customer underscore lo.csv file. After that, what I'm doing here is I am creating the one more data frame called as a customer underscore ny. Here we are reading the data from one more file called as a customer underscore ny.csv file. First data frame, reading the data from customer underscore lo.csv. Second data frame, we are reading the data from customer underscore ny.csv. Now my requirement is I want to merge data between these two data frames in the vertical direction. Tell me, in the database side, if you want to perform the merging operation vertically, which operators we can able to use? in the database side, if you want to perform merging operations vertically,
Joins.
which vertically,
Union.
you have to go for set operator. Within the set operators, if you want to get all the records from the both the data frames only, we can able to use the operator called as a union operator. In the same way, within the Spark DSL, whenever you want to merge data vertically, just I will write the statement here. If you want to merge data vertically as per requirement, and if you want to get all the records from all data frames, then what we can do here, we are having the union in the database side, we are having the union operator. In the same way, within the Spark DSL, we are having a transformation, or we are having the API called as nothing but union. Here we are having the union, and we are having union all also. We are having the union and we are having the union all also. What is the difference between union and union all? Union all will
Duplicates.
display duplicates also, but coming to union, it won't display duplicates. Okay, now by depending on our requirement, you want to merge data between the two different data frames only. While performing the merging operation vertically, I want to get all the records from the both the data frames. Whenever we are having such kind of requirement, simply what we can do here, we can able to go for either union, or we can able to go for the union all. If you are given the union, it won't display the duplicate records, but if you are given the union all, what will happen? It will display all the duplicates. But if you want to apply the union, what we can do here is, just observe. This is the way simply we can able to perform the union operation. I'm giving the data frame 1 dot union data frame 2. This is the way simply we can able to perform the union operation. In the same way, for example, if you want to understand what are the different transformations we are having in the DSL, just you have to do like this. Give the data frame name dot. If you see, if I'm giving the dot, what's happening? It is displaying so many number of methods like this, and indirectly we can able to say all these are nothing but different transformations we are having on top of your Spark DSL. Currently what we are using the union. If you see, in the union we are having the union, and also we are having the union all, and also we are having the union by name. In the same way, if you want to perform the join, see here we are having the join also. We can able to perform the joins, or we can able to perform the cross joins. In the same way, if you want to perform the filtering operation, we can able to apply the filter. So this is the one more transformation we are having. Like that, no need to remember all the transformation names, and you can able to get the transformation names automatically in the pie chart. Just we have to give it as a data frame name dot. If you are given the dot, automatically you can able to see all available transformations in our Spark DSL. But depending on our requirement, you can able to pick any one of the transformation. With that, you can able to perform the required operations. Now, as part of our requirement, here what I'm doing, I'm using the transformation called as a union transformation. With the help of the union transformation, I am going to perform the merging operation in the vertical direction. Now, if you want to get the number of records, here we can able to use the one more transformation called as a count transformation. Now, after applying the union, I want to get the number of records. For the reason, just we are giving the data frame name dot count. But if you observe here, once we are going to apply the transformation, again what is happening? It is creating one more data frame. If you remember, morning we discussed around this statement. We are creating the RDD. If we are performing any operations on RDD, what will happen? It will create a new RDD. In the same way, coming to data frames also, whenever we are going to perform any kind of operations on data frames, it will create new data frame. What's going to happen here? It is going to create the new data frame. For that new data frame, we have to give the name. If you observe here, I'm performing the union operation. With the help of the union operation between data frame 1 and data frame 2, what is going to happen? It is going to create the one more data frame. For that data frame, I'm giving the name is nothing but customer underscore LO underscore NY. Indirectly, without using the Spark session, by using the Spark transformations also, we can able to create the data frame. And if you see here, if I'm putting the mouse, what we are creating indirectly, you are creating the data frame. Just I want to add this statement also here. By using Spark session and by reading data from the file, we can create data frame. This is first statement. Second statement I can able to say, by performing data processing operations on data frame with transformations, we can able to create new data frame. So with the help of the Spark session, by reading the data from the file, we can able to create the data frame. Otherwise, by performing the data processing operations on data frame by using the transformation, with that also we can able to create the new data frame. And so in this example, I am creating the new data frame by performing the operation called as a union. After that, just I'm given the show command. With the help of the show command, we can able to display all the records after doing the merging operation. After that, we are given the dot count. With the help of the dot count, we can able to see the number of records only. Just what I will do here is I will comment all these lines. First, we'll try to run up to here. Might be you can able to get the questions or why we are applying the union. Okay, just I'm taking the example like that only. But in the real time, if you want to perform the union, or if you want to perform the join, or if you want to perform the filter operation, first we need to understand what is the requirement. By seeing the requirement only, you can able to understand what kind of data processing operation you need to perform. With that, we need to apply the transformations on top of your data frame. By using that, we can able to perform our data processing operations. So first step, it is reading the data from customer underscore LO data. So first step, it read the data from the customer underscore LO. After that, it is reading the data from the customer underscore NY data. Why this is coming only? Because here I given the print statement. With the help of the print statement, I am printing all these kind of values. Customer underscore NY data, it is populating all these records. After that, I am printing combined data. So here it is showing it as a combined data. Here we can able to see union records. We can able to see all the records from both the data frames and how many number of rows we are having together. Total we are having the 20 number of rows between the first data frame and second data frame. That is the count value you can able to get. And to get all this kind of information, what we are doing here, we are using the data frames and we are using the DSL, which is nothing but our domain specific language. As part of DSL, here I'm using the union and also I'm using the count. Now in the same way, after performing the union operation, if you observe here, this is the output we are getting. This is the combined output only. Now my requirement is, after performing the union operation, I want to apply the filter condition on top of the grade column. Indirectly, I want to apply some condition like grade is equal to 200. Only those records I want to filter. Indirectly, after performing the union operation, I want to filter the data based on the condition called as grade is equal to 200. Whenever we are having such kind of requirement, then what we can do here is we can able to use the one more transformation called as a filter transformation. With the help of the filter transformation, we can able to specify the condition. Just observe. This is the line of the code we can able to write. Now again, on top of this data frame, with the help of the union, whatever the data frame we are getting, on top of that data frame, we are applying the filter transformation. Whenever we are applying the filter transformation, we have to specify the condition. What is the condition? Grade is equal to 200, but you have to specify this grade we need to take from the which data frame only. From this data frame, I want to take the grade column. On top of the grade column, I want to apply the condition is nothing but equal to 200. With that, I want to populate the data. This is the requirement. If you observe, coming to 200, we are having total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Around 8 to 9 records we are having only. So I want to populate only those 9 records. Just I will add the print statement here. Now tell me, in this print statement, what is the change we need to perform? In this print statement, what is the change I want to perform? I want to get the count after filtering the 200 values. What is this? This is this data frame. This data frame is creating with the help of the union. But now what we are doing, we are applying the transformation called as a filter transformation. If you are applying the one more transformation, what is happening here? It is going to create the one more data frame. For the data frame, I given the naming convention as customer LONY filter. This is the data frame we need to give, because after applying the filter, it is creating the data frame. For the data frame, I want to take the number of records. For the reason, we are giving this data frame dot count. Now just we'll run this. Yeah, while running, just I will explain one thing. By seeing all these lines of the code, don't get any kind of confusion. And if you observe out of all these steps, what we are doing is step 1, we are importing required objects. Step 2, just we are creating Spark session. Coming to step 3, we are reading data from file 1. Step 4, reading data from file 2. And coming to step 5, we are applying union transformation. After that, step 6, we are performing simply count operation. After that, as part of current example, in the step 7, we are applying filter transformation. After that, in the step 8, again, we are going to perform the count operation. Please try to understand like this, and by seeing all these lines of the code, don't get any kind of confusion, don't get any kind of panic. And if you are going to get the panic or if you are going to get the confusion, automatically what will happen? You won't get the interest to perform the practice on top of all these topics. And for that reason, don't get any kind of confusion. At the same time, don't get any kind of panic. Just to try to understand at the high level what operations we are doing. First step, we are importing the required objects. Then we are creating the Spark session. Then reading the data from file 1, reading the data from file 2. After that, as per the example, we are performing the union transformation. Then we are getting the count. After that, as per the second example, we are going to perform the filter operation. On top of that, we are going to get the number of records. If you can able to understand like this, what will happen? You can able to feel that this script is very, very simple. Otherwise, if you are going to see all the lines of the code as is, what will happen? You can able to feel that it is very, very complex, but nothing is complex here. And the only thing is nothing but just we need to understand how to write the code. And for the purpose of writing the code, we need to understand which objects we need to use, which methods we need to use, and we need to understand which transformations we need to use. With the help of all those things, simply you can able to write the code. Okay. Now, if you observe, after performing the filtering operation, earlier we got the around 20 number of records in the union. Now, after performing the union, we are performing the filtering operation. With the filtering operation, what's happening? We are getting the grade column. In the grade, you can able to see only data for 200. Total how many records we are getting here? We are getting total 8 number of records. This is the way simply we can able to understand how we can able to perform the filtering operations by depending on our requirement. Now, in the same way, my one more requirement is like this. If you see, wherever we are having the London, I want to get shortcut name is nothing but LO. Wherever we are having London, I want to get shortcut name is LO. And except London, if we are having any other values and there, I want to get the values are nothing but for all other cities. I want to get output as a NY. So this is the one more requirement. Now here one more requirement is I want to populate this LO and NY into a new column. I want to add a new column here, and for that column I want to give the name is nothing but country underscore shortcut. This is the name I want to give. Indirectly, if you observe here, we are getting the data for customer ID column, customer name column, city column, grade column, and salesman ID. Now my requirement is in this output or in this data frame, I want to add the one extra column. For that column, I want to give the name called as a country underscore shortcut. For this column, what is the requirement? Wherever we are having the London, for that I want to get the value as a LO. Wherever we are having the values other than London, for those I want to get the values as a NY. Indirectly, we need to add the new column. At the same time, for London, we need to get one kind of data. For other values, we need to get one more kind of data. That is the way we need to populate the values. And now indirectly, as part of this whole requirement, we need to apply kind of if-else logic. Will you agree or not? If country name is equal to London, then I want to get output as a LO. If country name is not equal to, or sorry, city name is not equal to LO, then I want to get output as a NY. Indirectly, as part of this requirement, I want to apply the if-else logic. Whenever you want to apply the if-else logic, here in the Spark side, we are going to use the transformation called as a when transformation. With the help of the when transformation, we can able to apply the if-else logic. At the same time, here my requirement is I want to add the new column. My requirement is I want to add the new column. Whenever you want to add the new column within the Spark DSL, we can able to use the one more transformation called as a with column transformation. With the help of the with column transformation, what we can do here, you can able to add the new column by depending on the requirement. At the same time, whenever you want to populate static string values, we are going to apply the concept called as a lit. Lit is nothing but literals only. Whenever you want to populate static string values, in the situation, we can able to apply the concept called as a lit. With the help of the lit, we can able to populate the literals. Now you try to give the answer. In this example, what literals we are going to pass? In this example, what literals we are going to pass? LO is a kind of data we are having in the table, or you want to populate the LO here. This LO is coming from the table or from the file, or you want to populate the LO here. I want to populate the LO values. That's the reason here we can able to apply the literal. Just we have to give it as a literal of LO. In the same way, if you want to populate NY, this value also we need to populate manually. For the reason, we have to give a literal of NY. Whenever you want to populate any kind of values manually, then you have to specify literal of LO, or we need to give it as a literal of NY. With that, we can able to populate the string values by depending on the requirement. Now, indirectly, I can able to say, as part of this whole example, we need to apply the when keyword to implement the if else logic. At the same time, to derive the new column, we are applying the with column. At the same time, to populate the LO letters or to populate the NY letters only, we are applying the concept called as a literal. Indirectly, as part of this example, we are going to apply the three different concepts: when, with column, and literal. By using all these three concepts, you can able to achieve the requirement. Now, for the purpose of writing the code, just observe. This is the way simply we can able to write the code. We have to give data frame name. Now, after applying the filter, I want to perform this operation. For the reason, just 1 second, I will comment this. Okay. Now, after applying the filter, we are going to get the data frame like this. On top of this data frame, we are going to apply the with column. Why we are applying the with column only? As part of with column, I want to create the new column. Further column, we have to specify what is the column name you need to provide. As per my requirement, I want to give the column name is nothing but country underscore shortcut. So we are giving that as a first argument. Whenever we are using the with column, first argument we have to specify what is the column name you want to provide. That column name we are giving here. After that, in this column, what data you want to populate. As per the requirement, I want to apply the if else logic. For the reason, we are giving when keyword. As part of giving the when keyword, we need to specify the condition 1. What is the condition 1? If city is equal to London, then I want to populate the literal values as a LO. That is the condition we are passing. In the when clause, we have to specify the condition. For condition 1, we are giving this is the result I want to pass. Now, what I am telling, other than London, whatever the else values we are having, for all those values, I want to get the values as a NY. To specify the else statement, here we are going to use the keyword called as a otherwise. With the help of the otherwise, we are going to specify the else statement. Indirectly, we can able to say here when is equivalent to if. Indirectly, not directly, just for understanding, I'm saying otherwise is nothing but is equivalent to else. Indirectly, we need to apply the if else statement. For that reason, instead of using the if, we are using the when. This is the one of the transformation we are having in our Spark DSL, and instead of using the else, we are applying the otherwise. This is the one more transformation we are having within the Spark. We are given the when condition 1 is going to satisfy, I want to get LO. If it is not going to satisfy, then I want to get value as a NY. This is the way you can able to apply multiple transformations within the single line. As per the requirement, to derive the column, we are given the with column. To apply the if else logic, we are applying the when and we are applying the otherwise. And to populate the string values, we are applying the literal. Like this, we have to specify all the transformations by depending on our requirement. And after writing this line of the code, what we are doing indirectly, if you see, again, I'm going to create the one more transformation, one more data frame. As I told you earlier, whenever we are going to apply the transformations, with that, we can able to create the data frame. After creation of the data frame, I want to display the data. To display the data, just what we can do here, we can able to give it as a show. Now, if you observe here, I am giving truncate is equal to false. Any guesses what it means? This is the one new thing I'm introducing in the show. What it means? Very simple. Now, sometimes what will happen is, for example, if I'm having the name like this, I'm having the name. So this is the big value we are having in the name only. Now, whenever we are going to provide the data frame dot show, what's happening so far? We are getting the data like this. But if you observe here, as part of getting the data, if it is a small number of letters, we can able to see the complete data. But whenever we are going to have the big data like this, in the situation, in the output, you cannot able to see the complete name only. Whenever we are having such kind of data, or whenever we are having long length data, if you want to see the complete data here, what we can do? Simply we can able to give it as a truncate is equal to false. False is nothing but it is not going to truncate the values and it will display complete name. When we can able to use this one, whenever you want to display complete name on top of your output, or whenever you want to display complete string value on top of your output screen, in the situation we can able to apply the truncate is equal to false. Just for understanding, I am given the truncate is equal to false. In our example, if we are not given the truncate equal to false also, you can able to get the complete data, because here we are not having any data with the big number of letters only. All the names are having the only small number of letters only. For that reason, without applying this also, we can able to get the proper data. But just I'm giving the example, whenever you are dealing with the string value which is having the so many number of letters, in the situation in output you cannot able to see the complete string value. To handle that kind of situation, we can able to apply the truncate is equal to false within the show. Okay, now you tell me, once I am going to give the show, on top of this output, what is going to happen? Before running the code, you try to give the answer. This is the output we are getting till we are applying the filter. On top of the filter, we are applying the with column and everything. Now, once we are going to apply the with column and everything, what is the output we are expecting here?
You can see the new column.
We are going to see the new column. In the new column, you can able to see the country shortcut. In that column, wherever we are having London, you can able to see values as a LO. Other than London, whatever the remaining values we are having, there we can able to see the value as a NY. That is the way we are going to see the data. Now just we'll run it once. Hope you people are understanding everything whatever we are discussing. Any questions or confusions, please ask me. It will take few seconds to run the code. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or confusions. So very simple, Andy. We are not doing any kind of rocket science here. Just on top of data frame, by depending on the requirements, we are applying the transformations. I am only saying that no need to remember all these transformations. Just you have to give the data frame name. After that, once we are going to give the dot. If you see here, if you have given the dot, we are getting all this. If you type with, we can able to get with column, and we can able to get with columns, and we can able to get all the transformations. In the same way, if I'm going to give without when. Okay, for some reason when it's not showing.
Can we access bucket data?
Yeah, you can access. That's the thing I'm telling you, right? So for that reason, we discuss the Spark, and with the help of the Spark, you can able to read the data from the local files. At the same time, with the help of the Spark, you can able to read the data from your GCS buckets, or you can able to read the data from the S3 bucket, or you can able to read the data from the ADLS. If you remember, in the previous classes, we discussed about Python and GCS integration. In this process, what we did, if you remember, we can able to create the bucket, or we can able to read data from the bucket, or we can able to upload the files into the bucket, or if you want, we can able to download the files also. Like that, we did the different kind of operations by using the Python code. If you remember, I think last week we discussed about this concept only. By using the Python, you can able to perform the GCS integration. Here, what we are doing? Here also we are doing the same thing, right? Just we are using the Pyspark. Now, instead of using the Python, with the help of the Pyspark, we can able to connect to your GCS buckets. Now, from the GCS bucket, simply we can able to perform the read operations. But if you remember, by using Python, if you want to perform this operation, what we did? What we did in the Python and GCS integration? First step, we install the Google storage package. After that, we created bucket object. After that, We created
Blog
blob
object.
object. Hope you are able to
Data
recollecting
frame.
one by one. Okay, we created the bucket object, we created the blob object. After that, we perform the other operations by depending on our requirement. In the same way, here also what we need to do here, if you want to connect with the GCS bucket, here also we have to import some required packages and after that, simply we can able to give it as a spark.read.csv. But instead of giving the normal path, here what is the path we have to provide? You need to provide your GCS path by giving the gs:// you have to give the bucket name / your file name. With that, you can able to read the data from the GCS buckets also by depending on our requirement. In the same way, if you want, we can able to read the data from the AWS buckets. In the same way, if you want, you can able to read the data from the Azure data lake storage also. By using the Pyspark, you can able to perform cloud operations also by depending on our requirement. Okay, now coming back to this example, here it is adding the new column called as a country shortcut column. Wherever we are having London, it's populating the values as a LO. Wherever we are having the New York, it is populating the values as a NY. This is the way simply you can able to understand how we can able to perform the data processing operations with the help of Spark. Now tell me overall here, we are using the Spark DSL or we are using the Spark SQL? What we are using so far?
Yes.
It's a Spark DSL, okay? But if you want, we can able to perform the same operations with the help of the Spark SQL also. But in the Spark SQL, simply what we can do here, we have to write the queries. With the help of the queries only, you can able to perform these operations. That example will cover in the tomorrow session only. But before winding up the today's session, any questions up to here, please ask me.
Sir, here otherwise is mandatory. It depends on the requirement. If we
It
have
depends on the
only
requirement. So for example, if you are not given the otherwise, what will happen? It will populate all values as null values. Now
Okay.
we given the otherwise, other than London, whatever the remaining values we are having, there it is populating the values as a NY. If you are not going to give the otherwise, what will happen? Other than London, if you are getting any other kind of data, there it is going to populate the values as a null values by default.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
So DSL, Spark DSL means what? With column, all these comes under
Spark
Spark
DSL.
DSL.
Correct.
Okay, okay. And same thing. Okay. And we have all these approaches, right? So BigQuery, we are accessing buckets and files from BigQuery, and we have all these approaches. In interview, which mainly what approaches they will ask queries are like GCS, BigQuery, or Pyspark also.
Say for example,
Mainly.
if you, it's not mainly only, I can able to give the statement like this. For example, as I told you earlier, in the real time, you are going to work on the, for example, migration projects. What is the meaning of migration project? Already Hadoop project is running on premise. Now they are migrating from on premise to your cloud. Now in the on premise, already they are using the Pyspark. Okay. Now as part of migrating the cloud, also what they will here, they are going to use the Pyspark only. For example, if you are attending the interviews for this kind of project, then they will ask about all the questions on top of the Pyspark. With the help of the Pyspark, how you can able to read the data. With the help of the Pyspark, how you can able to perform the other operations. Such kind of questions you can able to get. Okay. Now, for example, you are going to the interview too. Now, in this interview, you are working for one of the client, and in their project, what they are doing is they are migrating to cloud, but in the cloud, they are migrating everything into the BigQuery. Then what will happen automatically? They are going to ask all questions on top of BigQuery. Now you tell me, before going to the interviews, can we be able to guess it in which kind of projects we are going to work? Or before joining the company, can we be able to guess in which kind of projects we are going to work? Obviously no, right? That's the reason we cannot able to say in generic country. But if you ask me, in most of the interviews from GCP side, they will focus questions on BigQuery, SQL, Dataproc, Airflow. If you ask me from the interview perspective, what are the main topics you have to prepare? I can able to do the statement simply BigQuery, SQL, Dataproc, and Airflow. Now, for example, if we are discussing only these topics, suddenly if you are going for one interview, in that interview they are asking the questions on the Pyspark, what will happen? You cannot able to give the answer first thing. Second thing, by mistake you got the job, and once you are entering into the company, there you need to work on the Pyspark. Now, without having all this kind of knowledge, can we able to work on the Pyspark in the real time? No, right? That's the reason I'm trying to cover all the topics from my side only. But from your side also, my sincere suggestion, please try to learn all these things. Don't think from the interview perspective only. As I told you earlier, whatever the interview kit I given, if you can able to prepare all those questions, you can able to get the jobs very, very easily. But don't think about the interviews. Think about survival in the real time. So once you are going to work in the real time, we cannot able to predict in which kind of projects we are going to work. In the project, you are going to work on the Pyspark, or you are going to work on the Dataproc, or you are going to work on the BigQuery. That we cannot able to predict. For that reason, forget about the interview. Getting the jobs is very, very easy. As I told you earlier, just by following my interview kit. In the interview kit, I think we are having around 100 to 150 questions only. Please prepare all these questions. With this, what will happen? You can able to get the job very, very easily. But tell me, after getting the job, what you have to do? You need to survive in the real time. If you want to survive in the real time, now for example, team lead is coming suddenly. He is asking, write the program in the Pyspark, or he is asking, write the program in the BigQuery. If you are not in the position to write the programs in the Pyspark or in the BigQuery, what will happen? Within 1 week or 10 days only, they can able to terminate you only. To avoid that kind of situation, you need to understand each and every topic. At the same time, you need to prepare each and every topic. At the same time, you need to perform the practice for each and every topic. Multiple times, I'm repeating the same statement. Don't take my statements in the wrong way only. I'm giving all these statements for your benefit only. Otherwise, what I can do here simply, I can able to skip the Pyspark. Just I can able to get the high level walkthrough. What is Spark? What is transformation? And what is architecture? That's it. I can able to complete the Pyspark within 1 or 2 sessions only. But instead of 1 or 2 sessions, why we are spending the 3 to 4 sessions or 5 sessions by taking these many examples? Because as part of interviews, we can able to face all these kind of questions. At the same time, in the real time also, in some of the projects, you have to write the Pyspark programming. For that reason only, we are discussing all these kind of topics in detail as part of our sessions. Is it clear? Again, I'm repeating, please don't think about the interviews. Think about how to survive in the real time. Okay. As I told you already, getting the job is very, very easy. Just you have to prepare 100 to 150 questions from the interview kit. With that, you can able to get the jobs very, very easily. But if you are preparing only the interview kit, trust me, within 1 week or within 1 month, you are going to lose a job. Because in the real time, if you want to survive, you should have perfect technical skills. And one more thing, you are not going as a fresher. You are going with the 3 to 4 years of experienced person. If you are going to work as a 3 to 4 years of experienced person, compulsory you should have knowledge about all these topics in detail. Now see, for example, you are saying that I'm having 4 years of experience in data engineering. Now, for example, you are saying that from last 4 years, I'm working on only BigQuery. Is the valid statement? It's not a kind of a valid statement, because really, if you're working for 4 years from the data engineering side only, you should be in the position to say, I worked on BigQuery, I worked on Dataproc, I worked on Pyspark. Is like this, you have to specify the multiple technologies only. Otherwise, interviewer can able to understand easily you are not really working in the data engineering. That's the reason my sincere suggestion or my humble suggestion, please try to prepare all the topics, whatever we are discussing in the session. And by seeing the statement, as a GCP interviews, only these are the important things. By seeing this statement, please don't focus only on these topics only. You cannot able to predict in interviews what kind of questions we are going to get, or in the real time what kind of work we are going to perform. That's the reason, please prepare each and every topic, whatever we discussed as part of our classes. Is it clear? I know it's a single line question, but I give that 10 marks answer. But you need to understand all these things definitely. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, if no questions, Andy, I will upload the notes. At the same time, I will upload all these programs. Already morning, I uploaded this RDD example program. And today, now whatever the examples we discussed, I uploaded all these examples also into the Infinity. With that, please perform the practice. Okay, if no questions, thank you. We'll meet you in the tomorrow session.
Sir, before winding up, can you please check my GCP account?
Which GCP account? I didn't get that.
I pinged you in your Telegram now, sir.
Yeah, you are saying that it's not loading, right? So if it is
Yeah,
not loading,
it's
I
not.
can't able to do only. So just to try out. So sometimes what will happen is because of the server issues. Otherwise, can you please try it in your mobile or in the other laptop?
Okay, but
No.
the message is saying that I have to pay, no, sir?
Yeah, that message is nothing bad. So I think by mistake or intentionally, you enable the payment options only. Okay, because of that reason, it is sending the message saying that you have to pay some amount. Okay, and why you need to pay the amount? Your free trial account is over. At the same time, still you are running the some of the resources in your GCP account. That's the reason they charged around 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. That message you received because of running some services in your GCP account. I already told you in the previous classes, if you are not using any kind of services, please stop it. Otherwise, what will happen? You will face this kind of issues. Have you verified any services are running in your GCP account?
No, sir. Previously, I deleted just 2 or 3 buckets are running.
No, only for 2 or 3 buckets, it won't charge the 5,000 rupees on it. I think something else is running. Please verify that once. Please go through all the services, whatever we discussed, BigQuery, Dataproc, Composer. Please go there and Compute Engine. Please verify all these things and please remove the required things. Otherwise, so for now, what's happening? Your page is rotating, right? For example, after completion of the rotation, otherwise, just 1 second, I will show you my screen. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Here, just you need to go here. Click on billing. Okay, so once you click on the billing, here you can able to get the credits like this. So for me, 28 days are remaining, and this is the amount pending in my account. Okay? So this is the way you have to get the result. But if it is not getting, might be that's a kind of a server issue or network issue. That's the reason I message you in the group in the Telegram. Wait for some time. And one more thing, if you want to see the report where it is charging the more money, you can able to click on the view report. By click on the view report, you can able to see the information for which service it is charging the money. If you observe here for me, for Compute Engine charge around 4,000 rupees, Cloud Composer 4,752, Cloud SQL around 2,000. That is the way you can able to get all the information. At the same time, if you are having the multiple projects running, you can able to select the projects also. With that, you can able to understand from which project it is charging the money. So I hope you created the multiple projects. In different projects, if you are creating the different kind of services, to understand that information, just we have to give the filters information from which project you want to get the report. With that also, you can able to see the data on top of your billing report. By seeing this billing report, you can able to understand which service is running and which service is causing the money. With that, you can able to stop all the running services. With that, you can able to save your money.
Okay, sir. I will check.
I think for you, this page is not loading. I'm not sure why it is not loading, because that is the issue from the cloud side, GCP side. It's not the issue from our side. Okay. Otherwise, what you can do is please try to log in into other laptop, and with that you can able to check it once. Otherwise, please log in into your mobile. From the mobile also, you can able to access this page only. Try all these options. If it is working, with that you can able to see where it is charging the more money.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yesterday afternoon class లో పైచామ్ లో స్పార్క్ అది చెప్పారు కదా సార్.
Yes, madam.
అది నాకు ఫైల్ నాట్ ఫౌండ్ ఎర్రర్ అని పైచామ్ లో వస్తుంది సార్.
File not found. Okay, can you please share your screen? We'll check it once.